Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today we are reviewing the Beyond Foundation by Illamasqua. For my foundation reviews and wear tests, I like to put the foundation kind of through an average day. So what I will do is I will apply it in the morning and then I will do a time-stamped checkpoint about every 3 hours or so throughout the day. And sometimes I do this depending on how long the foundation advertises it's wearable. Sometimes I do it just until I feel like most of the foundation has moved around or it has left my face and it's not worth it to continue checking. It kind of just depends. Other things that I will talk about are things like oil control, because I have a very oily skin, so I like a foundation that is going to withstand my oiliness. I talk about levels of coverage between sheer, medium, and heavy coverage. And then in the end, when I give my final thoughts about the product, I will possibly compare it to another foundation in the same price range to give you an idea of other foundations that I have tried that might be similar and better or worse than the one we're reviewing in this video. The wear test itself for the Beyond Foundation by Illamasqua I've actually pre-recorded, so I'm going to talk you guys through that and show it here to you on the screen. So just to go ahead and get started, I wanted to let you guys know what I have on my face to begin with. So I went in with my moisturizer and then my two daily products. This is the By Terry Brightening CC Serum and the Paula's Choice Tinted Daily Sunscreen. I always wear that combination on my skin kind of as a base for my makeup or on a no makeup day. I also went in with concealer, which that day was the Yves Saint Laurent highlight concealer. I don't remember what it's called, but it's the one like the clicky pen. So I have some concealer and that is just underneath my eyes, covering up my dark circles. And then I also went ahead and filled in my eyebrows, and that is with the Winky Luxe Brow Pencil that came in my FabFitFun members box that I've talked about before on my channel. So here is the product, the box that it comes in, and then the bottle as well. I don't really like to go into packaging too much on my channel because in my perspective, the package that it comes in isn't the most important part, but I did think it was worth noting in this video that the bottle that it came in kind of surprised me. It felt like a very cheap plastic, quite honestly, for the price point. Other foundations that I have bought in this price bracket, while they look very similar to this bottle, they're either glass or a frosted glass or something with some weight to it. This actually felt kind of cheap. So the first thing I did was go in with a little bit on the back of my hand. Note the consistency here. When I hold my hand up, it's dripping just a little bit. It's not a really heavy clay-based, thick, creamy foundation, but it's also not like a silky, fluidy foundation. This is actually right up my alley. This is the perfect texture that I like for my skin. In terms of application, I'm just going in with a foundation brush. You might notice if you've watched my channel before, I don't tend to apply foundation the way a lot of other beauty YouTubers do. To me, it's mostly just there to help even out my skin tone, cover up a little bit of redness, and to that end, I like to find a shade that matches my skin tone very well. And then you can see I'm kind of just buffing it in those spots where I feel like my skin needs a little bit of extra help in terms of evening out the tone. I have a little bit of rosacea on my cheeks and even some spots here around my mouth where I feel like my skin is very thin. You can kind of see the blueness of my veins. My initial thoughts with the application itself is that it went on very similarly to other foundations that I have used of comparable consistency and thickness. In terms of coverage, I would say it's definitely more than sheer, but I wouldn't call it heavy coverage. Again, that may have to do with the level of application that I use. I don't slather a whole lot of it on my face, so perhaps it's buildable, but for me, I definitely felt like this was a medium coverage foundation. It is advertised as having a dewy finish, which I also like. That's right up my alley. It's kind of exactly what I look for in foundations. Nothing too matte, nothing too sheer, but just kind of a nice skin-like finish, and I definitely think this foundation achieves that. So as I said, I like to do this in kind of like an everyday wear. So I did go ahead and set this foundation using the Ciate Extraordinary Translucent Powder, which is the setting powder that I use on a typical day. And then because I knew I was going to be leaving the house at some point, I did also go in with my Hourglass bronzer to kind of warm up my cheeks a little bit, and then threw on some mascara as well. Then I took you guys over to the window because it was a nice sunny day. So here's our first timestamp at 9:02 a.m. and this is what the foundation looks like freshly applied in natural sunlight. I know that those ring lights kind of try to achieve a natural sunlight, but I wanted to show you it in the actual light of day. Our first check-in point was about 3 hours later, close to 12:30 that day. In my experience, when I do these wear tests, 3 hours or so is not really enough for much to change. I'm checking kind of these spots on my face here where I do most of the coverage, where I feel like I'm getting the most movement in my face around my mouth, to see, has the foundation shifted, has it settled, has it come off altogether. I'm not really noticing much going on in terms of the foundation moving around, but oil control was already kind of an issue. So at this checkpoint, I did go ahead and oil blot my forehead and just a little bit around my cheeks, and you can see how much is coming off on that sheet of charcoal oil blot here. One thing I will say for this foundation, many that I have tried in the past, when I do use the oil blotting sheets like this, the foundation itself comes off with the sheet. I didn't really feel like I lost any coverage at this point when I was blotting my face. But again, the oil control on this one, not so fantastic. Our next checkpoint was a little bit after 3 o'clock in that afternoon. At this point, in the area around my mouth, that most mobile part of my face, I did kind of start to feel like the foundation was shifting, maybe caking up on me a little bit here where I'm pointing at my face and gesturing in the video. There along my forehead as well, where you saw me blot earlier, I have a lot of oil production there. So I definitely was feeling like the foundation was no longer looking as fresh or as even at this point in the day. So I was a little bit disappointed to find that. 3 hours after that, a little bit after 6 p.m., I had left the house at this point to go on a grocery run, so I'd been wearing my mask, and so you can only imagine what that does to any foundation, really, to be fair. But you can see here I'm kind of back to just natural skin. It's really shifted around where I had that bronzer applied a lot. Again, a lot of that can be attributed to wearing the mask in public, around the chin as well. But you can see my redness coming back through on my nose and my chin. The oil production is there. The foundation was pretty much gone at this point, so I didn't do any further check-ins after this. So a couple of other things to note about this foundation. I really like Illamasqua as a brand, and I've mentioned before in previous videos on my channel that when it comes to brands, brand loyalty is a thing for me. If you give me a really good product, then I'm more inclined to try some of your other products. So when I decided I was going to do a foundation review video again, this one hit my radar and I was really excited to try it. One of the things that I love about this, and it's one of the things that I love about Hourglass Cosmetics as well, this is a vegan and cruelty-free foundation. I do find that when makeup products are vegan, they don't hold up as well as their non-vegan cousins. So I can't say I was necessarily surprised at the longevity of this foundation, but that said, for foundations in the same price range, the coverage was really good. The initial look of the foundation was really good. The consistency of the foundation was really good. So I definitely like this foundation. I am wearing it in this video right now so you can kind of see it live. I do think that in terms of the most mobile parts of your face here around your mouth, I don't like to recommend layering on more so that you avoid the problem of losing coverage, because I feel like the more you layer on, the more it's going to show and move and set into those fine lines around your mouth where you have all of that mobility while you're talking and eating and smiling throughout the day. So overall, I did really like the foundation. One other thing that I liked about it was actually its color selection, the way that they organized their color system for this foundation. I will pop a link to their website below because they explain it way more easily than I could. But it seems like there's a lot involved in terms of letters and numbers. This one is LN2, and they had a couple of others. I don't remember all of them. But once you actually read what they're for and what they're pointing you to and how they're directing you to find your skin match, it makes so much sense. And I like that it wasn't just as simple as, you know, cool, warm, or neutral. They actually had, you know, they do have a neutral, but they had like a rosy and something else. And the way they described the colors made it a lot easier for me to be like, oh, that will match my skin tone, as opposed to, as I said, the cool is pink and warm is orange. It's like, well, I'm not really pink or orange, so help me out here. So I really liked their new color system as well. Final thoughts, I do like the foundation. It runs $44 US, and if you're going to be looking to buy a foundation in that mid $40 range, another one that I would recommend, probably more than this one, even though I do like it, is my classic Stand By the Lancome Tenti Dole Ultra Wear. This one is $47 US, and I feel like bang for your buck, this one is probably the better deal, simply because I find that I get it to wear longer, but this one is not going to be a vegan cruelty-free product. So if that is something that you prioritize in your cosmetics purchases, definitely go with the Illamasqua. So that will wrap up my review of the Beyond Foundation by Illamasqua. I hope that you enjoyed it. Thank you so much for being here. Click subscribe on your way out, and I will see you guys in my next video.